Well, here we are again, speculating at what the future holds for the Wild of Gielinor. We've had Varrock be attacked, a big stone get stolen, and the dreaded Cuthbear be slain by a valiant hero who saved Varlamore from his wrath. With so many plotlines being unresolved though, what exactly can we expect when it comes to losing our quest cape once again? Before we get into the nitty gritty of speculating, we may as well cover what we know we're getting with certainty. I'd highly recommend taking a listen to the lore Q&A that was up in August, as it definitely sheds some light on some future quests. Namely what we can expect and what Mod Ed himself knows is going to happen. One very important aspect that many of you will know is that the gods will never be coming into Old School. I mean, honestly, you may as well hear Mod Ed himself saying it.
Like narrative, there is a narrative in RuneScape that doesn't match up with what the narrative direction for Old School is. The obvious ones being the return of the gods. The gods are never, ever, ever going to come back in Old School. That is not a thing that will ever happen. Player being the World Guardian, never, ever, ever going to happen in Old School either.
Another aspect of this is backports, as admittedly they do have a list of quests that are being considered for backporting in the future, one of which being the Chosen Commander. One day soon is the best time we have to go with, really. Ritual of the Mahjarrat is not being backported, and that's been spoken on a good number of times. The finale will be unique to Old School. One quest is being planned on being backported, but then there's a super high chance that it is going to be Curse of Arav, considering Zamorgal's fortress is present within Old School, and we can see Arav's stolen heart on a plinth in his underground base by Varrock. So there's a good chance we'll be visiting both locations before we go into the Mahjarrat finale, whenever that may be. It may be more of a direct backport or something a bit different with an Old School twist, but what we do know is that the last two quests of the Mahjarrat questline will be Grandmaster quests, so they will take some time to put together. Listening to that modcast, they make it pretty clear that ideally one day all the questlines that are currently ongoing will be finished and have their own finales. Popular or unpopular, a few are mentioned, like Elemental Workshop and the Penguin questlines, but they'd like to finish off a few before moving on to other more obscure questlines. Plus, we do have Varlamore to finish up. And obviously, the Dragonkin are back, and something tells me we'll be feeling their wrath in the sequel to Dragon Slayer 2. And just to mention briefly, I'm really sorry for all you Brassica Prime fanatics, but you won't be seeing your green leafy god in the game either. But with all that covered, let's take a look at some questlines. There's a lot of unresolved questlines within the game, and we do know that in an ideal world they will be tied up eventually. Whilst some have been acknowledged, others haven't. These range from the Pirates to the Penguins, the Temple Knights to the Red Axe. There's so many, and they're all interesting stories that I'm sure will have interesting developments in the future. But for the sake of this video, I'll be exploring two questlines in particular, the Mahjarrat and the Myreque. And now we can start getting the corkboard set up, some fresh red string, and start pulling things in to uncover the mysteries of the future. Or should I say, the past. Whoa, that's not OSRS music. Doctor Who is cool, but you know, let's get something a bit more old school on. Right, so, the Mahjarrat questline. What a wild ride we've been on. From the humble days of the dig site to touching the stone of Jas itself. This questline has not been short on the action and thrill that we've come to expect when anything involves the Mahjarrat. So what exactly were we left on? Well, not to mention the Dragon King cutscene at the end of While Gothic Sleeps, we're left on a very somber note. Lucian has won and stolen the stone of Jas, killed quite a few Slayer Masters and vanished. Quite demoralising, isn't it? But that just means that vengeance will be even better after we, potentially, kick his ass. And how exactly might that go? Before I go into the whole timey-wimey aspect of this section, let's get to grips with the last time we saw the majority of our favourite skeletal humanoids. The ending of Desert Treasure 2 saw the Mahjarrat gathered together attempting to thwart Sliske's plan, much to no avail, before everyone went their separate ways, I guess. Akthanikos and Anakra are locked in an eternal battle as they have been for hundreds of years, and there's a good chance that this will be ongoing whilst we patiently all wait for the next quest. As an Adra, devastated at the news of several artifacts being destroyed, looks to be one of our true allies amongst the Mahjarrat. His plans have failed of attempting to contact Zaros, so who knows what he's up to now. Probably either trying to find Sliske or making preparations for the ritual of rejuvenation. Khazad and Haziel, two Zamorakian Mahjarrat who are allies, are also making preparations, and even potentially teaming up with a Zarosian-aligned Mahjarrat to stop Sliske. I don't really have to mention Lucian again, since he was the last one we saw and he wasn't present during the events of Desert Treasure 2. Zamoragal attempted to invade Varrock, again, and he was defeated, again, but this time it was by us and a handy shield, before stating his intentions of going north. And finally, best till last, we have Sliske. Radio is silent since his disappearance, leaving us with a haunting line, "I'll see you in the north," before hitting the like and subscribe button and teleporting out. We only know that his plan involves using the Elderhorn to stop the ritual of rejuvenation, how it will be the final ritual of the Mahjarrat, and how he wants to stop this endless cycle that will spell their destruction. One thing that's certain is that we will be going north, mainly because the majority of the Mahjarrat can't stop bloody talking about it, but that will be where a showdown takes place. But what exactly would that look like? I mean, you have extremely powerful beings fighting each other. Two of them have a major upper hand. One has the Elderhorn, and the other has the Stone of Jas and the Staff of Armadil. So, what's the deal? Well, to answer that, we need to look at what these artifacts do. Simply put, the Elderhorn grants absolute control to whoever sounds it, as Azanadra states, that with this horn, someone could bring an entire army to its knees without a single drop of blood being shed. Pretty exciting from the sounds of it. And the Stone of Jas, it's an Elder artifact that gives whoever touches it immense power. We only feel a portion of it when we rest our hand upon it, having our combat stats boosted to a lovely high amount. But it's been used in the past by gods to perform feats of strength, from creating life and magic, to shaping the terrain of Gielinor itself, and even resurrecting those who had died. This stone quite literally allows you to do whatever you want. It's commonly seen as the most powerful artifact on Gielinor, and that's for good reason. And why does Lucian want it? By his own admission, to ascend to godhood like Zamorak before him, though he did so in a slightly different way. You see, the Staff of Armadil is powerful enough to transfer incomprehensible amounts of energy between things and beings, hence that when he was impaled on one end and Zaros on the other, that ascended him to godhood. So with 3 Elder artifacts claimed by the Mahjarrat, you can imagine that the ultimate showdown will be messy and definitely bloody. If they have blood, I'm not really sure. But this is where all the threads laid bare begin to converge. How exactly can you battle something that controls 3 of the most powerful artifacts ever created? By using one ourselves, I'd hazard to guess. Now this may sound crazy and I may be drawing strings at nothing, but just hear me out really quickly. There's a reason the Doctor Who theme song played in the beginning. Thanks to some of you who commented your thoughts about time travel, it led me to begin speculating even more about the potential that it may play a role within the story. The biggest evidence we have of this is 2 instances that seemed strange. If you cast your mind back to the first time we enter the Lifkrin Vault and Dragonslayer 2, and meet Zorgoth for the first time, it's a bit strange because it's the first time for us, but Zorgoth recognises Robert the Strong and says, "I see you brought your friend with you. I'm surprised to see you here after all this time. Curious." Which is odd. Sure, this may have been a weird on-the-nose tactic to get into our head, but we're unfortunately cut off when we try to ask what he means. But that one scene left us all scratching our heads. And some people were confused about this, and during a lore Q&A in 2022, someone did ask Mod Ed about this, and he confirmed that Zorgoth was 100% talking to the player character, and just refused to elaborate, stating how it will be addressed in a future quest. The second instance was during While Guthix Sleeps. We touch the Stone of Jas and we see parts of the stone's history, how numerous folk have used its power, but more importantly it shows us having a conversation with Robert the Strong, when he was a human. We come to the agreement the only way to win is to use the stone itself. So surely time travel must play an aspect in this. I mean, Robert the Strong was alive and an adult during the Dragon King conflicts early in the 4th Age, which, you know, was only a few thousand years ago. We definitely weren't alive then, I think, but we must have been present in one way or another, to not only speak to Robert, but to see Zorgoth as well for him to recognise us. So how could that be? Let me introduce you to the Needle. I had to delve into RuneScape 3 to read about this, as there's no mention of it in OSRS, but as Sarah Doman describes it, the Needle can be used to unravel time itself. It allows for threads of time to be created out of anima that can then be woven back together, that have allowed for changes to be made. There's a potential that things may go terribly wrong, and we may need to use the Needle to rewrite time itself, to place us back in the past, however briefly, to influence the events so our present can be in a much better state of affairs, and ensure that the Mahjarrat don't control such powerful artifacts. Though using the Needle and rewinding time itself to that extent causes a user to be permanently bonded to the artifact, who knows what may happen? We already know and have verbal confirmation numerous times that the gods aren't coming back, so who knows what the likelihood of us using an Elder artifact to this extent is even likely, but it'd be pretty interesting. Whatever way you want to look at it, we do meet Zorgoth and Robert the Strong in the 4th Age, so we do need to make our way back, somehow. Some light may be shed through an area known as the Archive, as this viewer pointed out. It's an area in RuneScape 3 built by one of Guthix's followers. There's one small hint of this found on a note by the entrance to the temple where the Stone of Jas was resting, so who's to say that we won't take a pickaxe to this pile of rocks and try and see if the Archive holds some information for us to use in saving the world against Lucian. Before I finish up on this segment, Mod Ed has confirmed that the quest will have the word Mahjarrat in it, so I'm curious as to what you guys think what the quest will be called. We know it won't be Ritual of the Mahjarrat, so it's a creative free-for-all. My personal guess is something along the lines of the Mahjarrat's Gambit, but let me know what you think. Our next questline is less world-endy, but, you know, it still poses quite a significant threat. Just in case you haven't thought about the vampires in a while, since the last quest did come out in 2020, let me just jog your memory a little bit to see where we are with the whole Myreque rebellion and what Lord Draken's up to. In Sins of the Father, we team up with an unlikely ally, Venescula Draken, who has given us her word to help us kill her remaining brother and Lord of Darkmire, Lowenil Draken. Not only that, but she even helps Safflan discover his true heritage, that he is in fact half human and half Icene, and he's able to call upon some Icene powers, though that doesn't exactly always go to plan. So with our allies primed, we murder a Vire noble and steal his clothes, cut a branch from an ancient tree, and create a weapon capable of seriously wounding those pesky vampires. Venescula then teleports us in with the rest of the Myreque within the inner walls of Castle Draken, pretending that she's captured us, a ruse to let Lowenil out once and for all. If only that worked. Lowenil appeared, already knowing Venescula's true intentions. He saw through that ruse before it even had a chance to work. And not only that, but he disintegrates Venescula's Vire servants and 4 of the Myreque members before grabbing Venescula and teleporting away. This leaves us and the 3 remaining members of the Myreque to take on Vanstrom Klaus. This was my first true challenge in Old School, and he really gave me a bad beating. But once we get him down, Safflan will plead with his ex-father. Yep, Vanstrom Klaus is Safflan's father. Though things did get a bit messy when he was turned into a vampire. You can watch this video if you want to know more, but Vanstrom gloats about how he killed Safflan's sister. This infuriates Safflan, who in a moment of anger unleashes his innate Icene powers, incinerating Vanstrom into a pile of ash, though this knocks him out cold. With all this noise, the Firewatch start encroaching all around us, and we need to leave Safflan behind, and things aren't looking good at all. Veliath declares that the Myreque is dead, and any chances of rebellion are gone. And not only because of Lowenil's power, but due to losing Safflan as well. This leaves only us and Ivan as the remaining members of the Myreque, though for the time being, we go our separate ways. Up to speed now? Great. Well, not really great for us, I guess. But what do we know about the potential sequel to this quest? Honestly, Not much. Even less than that, literally nothing. The only thing that's been mentioned is that Mod Ed knows what's going to happen, and that there is only one quest left, with the main villain being Lord Draken. Big surprise. And he'll touch on the lingering plot of Myreque Vita's spider problem. So what could we see in the quest? One thing that's bugged me quite a lot is the whole plot thread of how Draken somehow ended up going back to Vampirium to hunt Zarpus down. That's right, Draken left Gielinor to go back to his homeworld, and it's never explained how. We just find out about it in a book. Draken must have a way to go back to Vampirium whenever he wants. But then again, he did come to Gielinor with Zaros, so there may be a secret way somewhere within Castle Draken. Even Venescula doesn't know how he managed to achieve this though, but there's a good chance that it might play into the quest in some aspect. I mean, it truly would be a stronghold that's impenetrable. Not that he needs one, considering he absolutely handed our arses to us at the end of Sins of the Father, but if he does have access to his homeworld, then who knows what he's doing behind closed doors. The first time we see him, it's his first appearance in a very long time. He's been sat inside sulking about the Stone of Jas evading him for so long, despite the fact that it had been under his feet in the Dayalt Mine at some point. But something we do know is that he has Venescula, and that he is most likely going to be doing something devious to her, so she understands the repercussions of going against him. Plus you have Sapphilan who is in the mix, and the last time we see him he's being surrounded by Firewatch Sentinels, so he's most likely locked away somewhere, in Darkmire or even inside the walls of Castle Draken. But he will definitely be playing a role in the finale of the Via questline. I can envision a daring prison escape to get Sapphilan back, and an epic showdown between us and Draken, with Sapphilan sacrificing himself to take Draken down once and for all, and claiming vengeance for his mother, his sister, and also his father, in a way. But where would that power vacuum lead us? After all, the whole Myreque Vita issue of her being a gigantic spider is still very much a threat. And though it may not be the main plot thread going on, what if that would be of help to us? What if we manage to strike a deal with Myreque, that if she helps us lair Draken and take him out, then she can have the pathway to Vampirium to herself and her kin, where she can rule with no boundaries, keeping her tied down on her own world. Since Vampirium was abandoned when the Vias came over with Zaros, it might be a stretch and I might be chatting some absolute nonsense, but what do you guys think? How will we deal with Draken, if at all? So this segment has been added in during the final stages of making this video, as, you know, when I was making this video I realised that the summit was only a few days away, and I'd probably end up talking about the summit either way, and with this quest announcement it's worth just adding into this video. You'll see earlier on that I spoke about us getting Curse of Arav, and as of the Summer Summit it's officially going to be getting added in later this year, but with some old school twists. Namely having elements of Missing My Mummy being incorporated into it. It does sound pretty exciting, especially since I've never really done much of the questing in RuneScape 3 as a kid. But in other news, we've got a lot of quests coming with Varlamore Rising Darkness and Varlamore the Final Dawn. All which sounds super exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the Twilight Emissaries and how we'll valiantly stop them as usual. The one lingering question I did have is, where's Tempestus? So that's some plot lines covered that will be having finales from the next few years. But as I said before, there's so many storylines that are just dangling in the void with nothing going on, for now. We've got Amaska and Menaphos, the shadow of Zautak creeping over us, the killer Gen 2 penguins, and many, many more. I wish I could speak about every single one, but this video would quite literally be hours upon hours long, and only time will tell what adventures await us in the long run. Though the hope for the mods and us is that the storylines will reach satisfying conclusions eventually, we will also be seeing new chapters opened before us. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you next time.